Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 38 of the Nurtured by Nature podcast. Today, I'm delighted to be joined in conversation by the amazing Angie, a Bowen Therapist from Adelaide, Australia. If you've never heard of Bowen Therapy, then join us in this beautiful conversation as we have a wonderful time exploring this fascinating field and how it can help you get rid of the issues in your tissues. This gentle yet powerful modality, which is suitable for all from babies to older people and even animals, has an incredible relationship in supporting and releasing the fascia in the body and supporting hydration of the cells. Fascia is a truly remarkable web-like tissue that interconnects organs, muscles, tendons and more. But it is only more recently that science is slowly coming to understand its importance to the functioning of everything in our bodies and helping us to understand the true power of healing modalities like Bowen Therapy. Angie is passionate about the mind and body connection, working with the root of an issue rather than just the symptoms. She supports her practice with essential oils, understanding of meridians, muscle testing, and the importance of hydration, and shares some great resources for us all. We also explore how stress and trauma affect the nervous system and how Bowen Therapy actually helps to give the body space to reset and feel safe, whilst also helping alleviate physical pain, which can help shift us back into the parasympathetic nervous system or rest and digest, and open up space for the releasing of stored emotions. She reminds us of the importance of caring for ourselves and how for her, Bowen has been a journey of reclamation. She isn't here to fix you, but to support you and give you space to come back to yourself, to feel empowered in remembering who you are and what you are truly capable of. A gentle reminder to simply believe in yourself. Welcome, Angie, and thank you so much for joining us today on this episode of the Nurtured by Nature podcast. I'm really looking forward to talking to you more about Bowen Therapy. It's something that I've had a little bit of experience with, but I'm really interested to have a bit more of a deep dive with you about that. But just to get us started, I like to just ask all my guests to share a little bit about their nature story. So just anything really about what nature has been to you through your life, any fond memories or anything else that you'd like to share to get us started would be
Yeah,
lovely.
definitely. So when I was younger, my dad, we used to go on a Sunday, we used to go for a drive to his friend's house, and his friend used to live quite close to the beach. And
Oh,
so that was a really fun memory for me because as we were driving there, we would drive up the coastline and you'd see the beach, and that was such a calming thing for me. I'm one of three, so I'm the littlest, so I would be in the middle seats,
oh
and so
yeah.
there'd always be a bit of back seat, pushing and shoving.
Yeah.
So just we would all just used to stop at that point whilst we were driving along that coastline, and yeah, just remember the smell of the breeze. And he was German, my dad's friend, and he used to have these windmills. He used to know, I
Oh,
don't know what
okay.
they were called. He used to make these wooden things and they would twist and go in the wind. And so I
Oh, yeah.
remember seeing that because he was obviously so close to the ocean, they would constantly be turning. And so that was, I guess, my first sort of love for the ocean.
Yeah.
It's that calming. So now for me, when I'm ever feeling in those stress situations, the beach is just like my sanctuary. So whether it's going in or just going watching, the sunset at the beach, or going for a
Yeah.
walk, or going in the ocean. I've got two water babies, so they're the same. So we're rain, hail, or shine. Even if it's just a little bit warm and we've happened to go to the beach, we all end up getting in there in the
Yeah.
end. So it's
Well,
just a
and
really
you're
calming, beautiful.
You're lucky because you're actually in Australia, so you
That's right.
you
Yeah, we've
have
got
some
some
of the
beautiful
best beaches
beaches.
in the
We
world,
do.
don't you?
And
Yeah.
yeah, and in Adelaide where I am, it's, half an hour anywhere you go really. If you're in any central point, it's half an hour to
Oh
sort of get
wow.
anywhere, and you can get to a nice beach in half an hour, or, if you want to go somewhere a bit nicer, it's a bit longer, but never
Yeah.
anything too far. So we're very spoiled.
Yeah, I love the ocean. There's just I don't know whether it's the vast expanse. It sort of gives you that sort of sense that like anything you're dealing with is actually sort of smaller, isn't it? And it just sort of
Yeah.
is a great like re sort of settler and sort of,
That's right.
come back and go, oh, okay, I had a really bad day, or like things have got on top of me, and you just get there and it just sort of, cliched, but all your troubles melt
Yeah.
away, don't they,
Oh,
almost?
well,
Yeah.
it's almost like it's reminding you to breathe because of that sound.
Yeah.
It's sort of like reminding you, okay, I just need to breathe now,
Yeah.
and it's that little soft reminder to say, okay, you can bring yourself back to calm.
Yeah.
So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'd never thought of it, but you're right.
Mm,
It's that, that sort of natural rhythm that you can quite easily just subconsciously tap into, don't you? Just sort of with the
yeah,
waves coming in and out, and
that's
I think,
right.
yeah, oh wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
beautiful. Oh, I love that. It's beautiful. And I'm a water baby myself, so I
yeah. Love it.
completely I love
Yeah.
that your kids are growing up with that as well. It's a
Oh, they love
beautiful,
it. Yeah.
yeah,
We just would, and whatever it is, we're just like, it's okay. Just go for it. Just be
yeah.
in the moment. If you want to go in, cool. We'll sort that out. I've always got beach towels in my car. So,
Yeah. Oh, that's a amazing way to live. I'm quite
oh,
jealous.
you have to. Yeah. Have to. Got to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So we're actually what you do for your profession now is you're a Bowen therapist, if I get that
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's well, I don't know if I'll let you explain, but it's a fascinating field.
It
And
is.
and actually it was founded by an Australian, so quite appropriate.
It is. Yeah. So he was based in Victoria, so in the was it Eastern States? Yeah. So yeah, he was a body worker, and he was very intuitive. So he would just see a person, know exactly what was wrong with them, and then he created, the Bowen technique, which is basically it's a soft tissue therapy, and we're just using finger and thumb motions just to go over the muscles and the tendons, and we're basically targeting like specific points. So we do, I guess, run along the lines of like the meridians as well. So there is a bit of that too. And so
Yeah.
we're targeting specific points. So
A
whether it's
bit
for
like
neck
in
pain, back
acupuncture, I
pain,
guess, as well. You've got like
correct.
sort of
Yeah,
core little zones that you
that's
have
right.
more impact if you work on. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's just about targeting those specific points to tell the body that it's not an emergency anymore. It's now time to heal. So basically what Bowen is doing is just naturally enabling the body to heal on its own. So if there is a blockage in those areas, your tissue is going to be like in the fascia in the body is not going to be hydrated. So you're going to start experiencing pain. So what the ability for what Bowen does is to unblock that area and allow the body to then start getting those tissues hydrated again. A lot of the times you might experience something profound where could be in a lot of pain, but it basically has just allowed your body to do that. And so
Yeah.
that's why we generally say to people 2 to 3 sessions just to get your body back into balance, because quite often you'll go to the physio and you'll never go just once. You'll
Yeah.
go a few times.
Yeah.
And it's the same with Bowen. People sort of think that, I'm just going to have this one treatment, it's going to be the magic bullet. There's no body work that is generally like that. Quite often you'll need to
Yeah.
go 2 to 3 times just to get yourself back into balance.
Well, I think
Yeah,
because I mean, there's quite a few things I want to sort of pick up on that you've taught there, but one of the things is, we develop these patterns in our body, don't we? And so therefore
that's right.
to expect them to correct, whilst you might sort of unlock them, that sometimes there can be different levels of it that you need to work through to
Yeah,
unlock, but also it can be that it needs to hold as well when you go back to doing your sort of
that's right.
regular daily life, and you need to work through the things that might be triggering those as well. And I know that's
Yeah,
something else that you work with is you work with essential oils as well. So
that's right.
you're working on, well, a lot of these modalities are looking at the cause rather than treating the symptoms, aren't they?
100%.
And
That's right. And
yeah,
that's what we're doing with the Bowen, is that we're trying to get to the root of it. So, you might be experiencing neck pain, but it's actually because you have stored emotions, for example, in your gallbladder, and your liver. So we work with those organs as well. So the way that I like to focus on, which some people go down that track and some people don't, is I go down the emotional aspect. So for your body to be completely in rest, generally what I do is I explain to people, I've got a various body charts that explain what each body part, what emotion is storing. So for example, I've just got my chart up here. If you look at, your shoulder, it's bearing the burdens that don't belong to you or lacking in courage. And so say, for example, when you were 5 years old, something happened to you and, that core memory is now locked in your shoulder. So something happened at that time and then you experience pain in your shoulder. As an adult, you'll either have that pain or you won't. Or at the time where you are now ready to release that, you'll start to experience that shoulder pain.
Yeah.
I've had people that have been on the table that they'll remember something and, sort of say something to them like, again, this is picking up on my intuition as well because I have my hands on people's bodies. It's not anything, woo-woo or anything like that. It's just I can feel sometimes what might have, caused it. Or, I ask them the question of, is your left, arm hurting you? And they might have told me and they'll say, oh, yeah, actually, I, was experiencing this part of pain. But and they'll sort of just look at me like, what are you talking about? Like, how do you know that? But it's just purely because I can feel by touching their body exactly where that might be coming from. So, and then with the essential oils, the reason why I entwine those is because each essential oil can target that emotion as well. So what we're doing by touching the body and releasing that physical pain is allowing them to then deal with the emotional aspect. So it's not up to me to deal with the emotional aspect, but if they're not in any pain anymore, it might actually allow them to not feel that emotional pain as well. So we're just also talking with the physical body and also the emotional body. And so there's just an array of different essential oils that can really enhance getting rid of that, because essentially you don't want to keep experiencing neck pain or shoulder pain.
No,
And
definitely
that's
not.
why,
Yeah.
And I'll just sort of say to people, like, it's not woo-woo. It's that, if you want to stop experiencing that pain, when you get that neck pain or that, that headache, just stop for a minute and just think to yourself, what was I just thinking about? What was something that was sitting in my subconscious mind? That chatter that you always hear in your mind. What was I even thinking about at that time? Just to be a little bit more aware around what might be causing that.
I think that's really, I mean, what I love about this more like holistic approach. And holistic has become quite a buzzword, but really at its core, it's saying like, your mind, body, and spirit are all in beautiful, hopefully, harmony and connection with each other. You
That's
can't
right.
separate one bit from the other. If you're struggling emotionally, it's going to have a physical toll on your body. If you're, struggling with physical pain, it's going to have an emotional toll on your body as well. And I mean,
That's right.
that's just a sort of superficial level of things that most people have
Yeah.
awareness of. But I think that's what's so fascinating about these modalities is just actually that they understand that and they
Yeah.
bring people's awareness to it. Like you say, it's like someone might come to you because they have a physical symptom, like they've got pain in their shoulder or they have pain in their neck, and you're just gently not only helping them work through that, but actually just sort of bringing their awareness to like how their experience, how they're journeying through life, really, what is
That's right.
actually impacting them, and both past and present. I mean, you mentioned there like literally things that happen in your childhood as well can have an impact on you. There's a fascinating book which I actually talked to a previous guest about, called The Body Keeps the Score, by
Yes.
Gabor
Yeah.
Mate. And
Oh,
I mean,
amazing.
it's something that's becoming much more into mainstream awareness, is the impact that past experiences have, and that they actually do become locked into your body,
That's
into
right.
different areas. And it can be challenging to release them, and so that's where a therapy like Bowen is really powerful. Not just the actual sort of work you're doing, but actually having the support as well of your therapist that you're working with.
That's
Like you were
right.
saying, like to gently sort of guide people and give them support as well as, physically
Hmm.
help them.
That's right. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to keep experiencing that. And it's, even though my mum, bless her, she says she goes, you got magic finger, magic hands. And I said, it's not that, mum. It's your body's ready to let that go.
Yeah.
And that's what essentially it is. Are you ready to let that go, or you just want to keep experiencing the same thing? So that's quite often I always say to people, don't be shy putting anything on that form, because I do an
Yeah.
intake form before and I do a little bit of research, see where the connections might be lying, because it could be absolutely anything. Like I see a lot of women with thyroid issues that experience digestion, like whether it's, poor bowel movements, or, they've got, reflux, that sort of
Yeah.
thing, neck issues. Because quite often, if they will say to me, I've got neck issues, I've got digestive issues, and I ask them, have you had your thyroid checked? Because quite often you'll be very amazed that it's actually all linked.
Yeah.
So they'll sort of just sit there and guess, and they'll say, oh, actually, okay, I might go look into that, or I
Yeah.
never thought of it that way. But it could be any of those one things that are causing that issue. And then again, I ask them, have you experienced anything like this in your life? And so I do a bit of muscle testing as well. Again, these other things are a little bit separate from Bowen, but that's just me, my interest, where I lie and where
Yeah.
I want to get the best results out of the Bowen. So I
Yeah.
do the muscle testing and I ask them those questions. I sort of gauge if they are, really into the holistic therapies, because again, some people might be deterred. So I just sort of, I
Yeah.
know who I can get,
Yeah.
to do that. So then if I can see a bit of a pattern with what they're experiencing in their body, I'll say, would you be open to doing some muscle testing? And that's the sway testing, where you go backwards and forwards. And quite often it'll just sort of be asking them, well, do you feel, fear of change or moving ahead in your life, if they're experiencing some leg pain? And their bodies will tell them that. And that's where I've done a bit of work myself with, the likes of Joe Dispenza.
Oh, yes.
So,
Yes. Joe Dispenza.
and I think
Yeah.
that once you actually realize that there is that third voice in your mind, it's just amazing. Like I used to suffer severe neck and back pain because I had whiplash. And just over my journey of studying Bowen, having Bowen treatments, and reading books like that, it's made me so aware of what I'm listening to in my mind and
Yeah.
switching off that voice. If you can switch off that voice, it will literally change your life, because that self-talk and realizing that that person that is you're listening to is full of,
Well, there,
you know,
and I mean, I've talked to a couple of people about this now as well, and it is like what we say to ourselves is like if we like actually spoke it out loud, we'd be
yeah,
like, oh my goodness, you would
mm,
never say that to another person, and we're
no
sitting there
way.
saying it to ourselves, and and one of a previous guest we talked quite a bit about trauma, and it was like
Mm,
she was very passionate about like this sort of place of safety. And she was like, how can you feel safe when you're having this awful dialogue with yourself? Like literally
yeah.
telling yourself that you're,
How do you get out of the house like that? Like,
yeah. And and I think it's amazing that you had that. Well, it's a horrible experience to have had whiplash, which is really very
yeah,
debilitating. But it's
that's right.
fantastic to hear that you have found something that works for you, and it's started you on this amazing journey as well yourself of
That's right.
like now being able to take what you've learned and share it and help other people. I love stories like that. I think
Yeah.
it's
Well, the
fantastic.
reason why I'm so passionate about it, and this probably surprises some people, is that I never actually had Bowen before I studied it. So my full-time work is a desk job, and I guess I sort of wanted to venture out of that slowly eventually, because to me, the older I get, the more unnatural it seems to sit behind a desk and go to a building and work behind a computer. So the more
Yeah.
unnatural that they felt, I kept saying to myself, what else am I supposed to do? I have to earn a living. I've got a house, a family. What am I meant to do? And literally come up this course on Introduction to Bowen Therapy. And so I went on a journey with that. I went on a journey with, okay, what is this? So I went to the intro course, was very intrigued. It was a full day course. And I said to my husband, I think I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to go study this. And I said, but, we have to have an agreement and a commitment that I'm going to have to go do practicals. I'm going to have to study. Cool, no worries. And I thought, okay, let me go get some treatments myself. So as I got the treatments, I was like, how is this physically changing my mind and my body? How is this doing this? So I think for me, I've been my own little lab rat of what it's actually done to me and my body. So that's why I believe in it so much, and why I want to share it, because what it's physically done to me, for somebody that had nothing to do with it, hadn't had it before, had tried lots of different things, which did help me at the time. I'm not going to put down chiropractors and physio, because they all have their job. Every modality has their place. They all work quite nicely together. But for me, what it's done on a physical and emotional level has completely changed the way that I think, and it's allowed me. And this is why I say to people, I can't help you with your emotional aspect, but by allowing you to feel less pain, it can help you deal with your trauma and your issues a lot easier, because your body is feeling good. I literally have people going out of the clinic and saying, I feel like dancing. And I'm like, go dance. Like, it's like, because their tissues are dancing, because they're free. They feel looser. They feel hydrated. So
no, but it's amazing. It's like, I think so often in society we live with this sort of, chronic dis-ease, and I mean dis-ease, like that we just, we think it's normal. It's become like, we've become so accustomed to it that actually, just when you have that like little, it's like someone looking out of a dirty window, isn't it? And then they sort of rub a little hole and they're like, oh my God, there's like a whole world outside there that I can see.
That's right.
And then you're like, wow, this actually, I can feel different. Life can be different. And it's, and like you say, it's your body rejoicing and being like, wow, there is a different way. And sometimes we've lived like that for years, and we literally don't remember any different. I mean, sometimes it can be, it's such a gradual change as well, can't it? I mean, sometimes it's something like you've had an accident and you experience quite a noticeable change, but sometimes it's just this like slow progression downwards to actually, things just becoming harder and heavier, and that's physically as well, because that's what's happening to your body. It's becoming harder.
But it's that cue, it's that cue to say that the change is coming. Like, I don't know about you, but I already feel like this year has been so long, because I have emotionally this year, I'm just like, is this how the rest of the year is going to be like? Because I don't know how much more I can take. But it's that thing before the change occurs. You go through that hard phase, but it's because you realize that something else was not working before. And so now it's that time of, okay, I'm ready to make things change and move, and it's that uncomfortable before the comfortable occurs. So,
and I mean, you touched a little bit on it earlier, but it's really what Bowen Therapy is working with is the fascia. And this is something that's really, I think, probably I would even say in like the last, 10, 20 years is actually like mainstream medicine has started to really pay attention to. Like before it was, just kind of, oh, it's there, but we don't really understand what it's doing. And now like more and more, there's more focus on actually what fascia is and the huge impact it has on the
your
body.
skin is the biggest organ in your body. So, of course,
most people don't know that, actually, do they? And
that's right.
So I'm gonna repeat that for you. Your skin is the biggest organ in your body, and that, I mean, that's something that I learned quite a while ago, actually, through my horses. But and it shocked me then. I was like, wow, I've never thought of my skin as an organ, because you think of like your liver and your stomach and your heart and your lungs, but
that's
actually,
right.
your skin is a huge organ.
That's right. And those neuro pathways in your fascia, like they're literally sending messages down your whole body. And it's just amazing. Like, I'm doing more and more research on it because obviously I'm quite new to this as well. So I just have such an interest, and I just, I tap into so many different resources just to get, that information so people understand that. But, some people will understand it and some people won't. But you're drawn to the people that are the right, clients or
Yeah.
community for you will be drawn to you. So, but yeah, I just have, yeah, I really want to get more into more and more what the fascia does, because I can see what it's done for me just on the surface level.
Yeah.
Like, it's just fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, you say you're learning. I think we're all learning. I think
Oh, they're
it's
all
like,
learning. Yeah,
it's that's the beautiful journey of life, isn't it, really? I think for
that's
me
right.
anyway, it's like, it's this constant, like, these doors get sort of like slightly opened and you're like, oh wow,
Yeah,
that's like a whole new
I
world
know.
that I can
Yeah,
explore. And I
that's
think,
right.
but just even in science, like, this is new really for science. They're like
Mm,
they're really just scratching the
doing more
surface
research.
of what it is, and the research
Yeah,
into it. And but it is a fascinating field. And I mean, because it just is throughout the entire body, isn't it? And
that's
it
right.
connects everything from
Mm,
organs and tissues and muscles and tendons to, and
yeah,
it's and it gives, what they didn't understand originally was it actually can give like structural strength as well, can't it? So
that's
it's,
right.
it
Exactly.
has so many
It's
functions.
literally holding it up, and
Yeah.
and at the end of the day, if there is a blockage in any one of those connective tissues, you will start to experience that pain. And again, it might be in one area, but it's because somewhere else is blocked, and so
Yeah.
there's not that flow. And
Mm.
and there is more research now about how tissues hold the memory. So a lot of things I say to people, and they giggle a bit, is we're trying to get rid of the issues in your tissues.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that on a sticker one day. It's been said, but it's not trademarked. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just sort of like, the more and more that people understand that, the
Yeah.
more that they'll understand where they need to make the change.
Well, and I mean, the thing is, as we get older, I mean, both of us are sort of 40-ish, aren't we?
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like, the things that you've been through, the experiences you had in life, they start to stack up on you, don't they? I mean,
that's
that's
right.
really what it is. And I think, that's the sort of feeling I've had, is like, in your youth, you can bounce back quite quickly from things.
That's right.
They don't slow you down, but as you get a little bit older, they they take a little bit longer to recover from, or you're like, oh,
Well, I
that's just
just think
the limp I've got now.
yeah,
Yeah,
well, I just think how much did we shove down back then? Like, oh, that's an emotion. Let's just put that
yeah.
in my back pocket, or I'll just put that at the bottom of my shoe.
Yeah, and
And you
you
just
could get
don't
away with it,
realize.
couldn't you? Because
Yeah,
I mean, that's something that I've spoken about in trauma, is like you have like this sort of capacity, and it's a sort of finite thing of like how much you can actually cope with. And and you have this stacking effect, and then essentially you get to full capacity, and you're like, actually my body really can't cope with anymore. And
that's
then
right.
that's when you quite often start on this journey of finding
Hmm.
people like yourself, or other
Yeah,
modalities that you're maybe drawn of, to actually go, no, something's got to change, because now I'm struggling to cope with this. What I
that's
could
right.
previously have coped with, I'm now not as resilient to.
Yeah,
And I think, and then, but the beauty is, it's actually, you don't need to get to that point. Like,
no, that's
and I
right.
think I think
You
that's
shouldn't.
part of what my podcast is. I'm like, I'm just gently putting this out there, putting the awareness there, giving people the
Yeah,
opportunity to
that's
go,
fantastic.
well, hopefully before you actually get to that sort of like, I'm broken, I need like serious help, is like,
Yeah,
actually you can do things before that stage. And
that's
that's
right.
that's what I love about therapies like Bowen, is just, it is gentle, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
suitable for
oh, it's so
everyone.
gentle.
And
It's
yeah,
babies, elderly. There's, it's so big in the animal community as well, like
yeah,
horses. If I wasn't afraid of most animals, I would probably do it because they say it helps animals so much. And we even had somebody in our class that was, you have to learn human
yeah,
Bowen
yeah,
before
you
you do
do.
animal Bowen. And
Yeah.
so she's now worked with animals, and she's like, I really prefer working on animals.
Yeah, I
She's
mean,
you can see the appreciation because the love that they show you after they have it.
yeah. I love I mean I've got my own horses and dogs and
Yeah.
things and they've been really sort of my journey for like holistic
Mm,
modalities and things. And one of the things I love about them is you almost really can't have this placebo effect because you don't walk up to them
yeah,
and say this is going to make you feel better, but
that's right.
they have this therapy and then like they physically show you like
Yeah, they tell
they
you.
go from like struggling to move to being able to move freely, and it's
Yeah.
just like it's this beautiful like just validation of it, really, I
Mm.
suppose. If, I mean, because people can be quite cynical, like you said,
Oh,
a
that's
bit
right.
woo woo, and
Oh,
it's hard as well
the
because I
doubt.
think a lot of a lot of science hasn't focused on these modalities and really understanding
Oh,
them,
that's right.
and there isn't really in terms of being very cynical, following the money,
Well,
there
that's
isn't
what it is
actually the
because there's
interest.
nothing in it for them.
Yeah, exactly. There isn't the
Yeah.
interest in promoting it and
Mm,
researching it and studying, proving that something like this can work because, you can't, trademark it and,
that's right.
sell it in a bottle and, and
Exactly. And
make
that's
a
what it is.
lot of money from it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but they are, I just love it. And I think, something else that you have said quite a few times, which is quite important, is actually hydration. And,
Yes.
and I think that's everyone knows, don't they? You get told like in sort of wellness circles, even dieting circles,
Mm.
it's like you're supposed to drink your water every day and people we're generally quite reticent about it, aren't
Oh,
we? But
well, especially I'm shocking in winter. Like
uh,
if I'm sitting indoors, unless I have my glass bottle next, like if you're sitting down, it's fine. But if you're moving around, I'm shocking. Like don't even, I'm really bad at drinking my water. But one thing that I do in the clinic, and this is where the Barbara O'Neill effect has come around, is, the Celtic sea salt. So
yeah.
in the clinic, I actually have a little jar, which looks a little bit sus at the start. When you walk in, there's a little jar with some, grey coloured substance in there. And I just say to them, whether it's before or after, just, pop a little bit in your water or the back of your tongue. And obviously what the Celtic sea salt does is it hydrates, allows you to absorb the water. So it's like a natural hydrolyte. So I always say to them, have a little bit of that in your water before and after, as a natural hydrolyte, because it'll allow your body to absorb the water. And there's something like 37 trace minerals in Celtic sea salt.
Oh
So
wow.
that's something that I do encourage in the clinic as well. And it's really important because you are going through a detoxification process after your Bowen therapy, is to drink sufficient amounts of water and make sure you're moving around, not sitting down for long periods of
Yeah.
time. And we do also encourage not to have any other modalities for 5 days because Bowen can work up to 5 days, once you've had a treatment. And so we always recommend that within that 7 day period, you come back and try not to do anything in between if you can avoid it. And then also, even the effect of having a hot or a cold shower can also turn off the Bowen. So there's just a few things that we do again for hydration purposes, but also just to allow Bowen to do its thing, because it
Yeah.
is very powerful.
That's really interesting. I never heard that about the Celtic
Hmm.
sea salt before. So that's
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
so
Have you heard of Barbara Neal though?
yeah, I've heard of
Yeah,
Barbara O'Neill, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that sounds really, really interesting. So
Oh, it's
so
worth looking up. Yeah,
yeah, I would encourage anyone who's listening to go and look it up because
yeah.
I think hydration is such it's it's something we all know, but it's something that we all just underestimate, don't we? And
That's right.
I think we forget like how much of our bodies is actually made of water. And it's like,
That's right. I
it's
think it was like
abs
50 or 60%. I always
yeah,
go
it's
say 80, but
yeah,
it's not.
it's
It's around
huge.
that
I think it might
67 or
even
something.
be like 60 or 70%.
Yeah,
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 it's a
yeah.
huge amount. And it's like, if you're not hydrated, which most of us probably aren't, in all honesty,
No,
we're, most of us
or
probably
sweating and yeah.
yeah, and like you say, in winter in particular,
Hmm.
you're not because you're not really stimulating your body. We sit for long periods of time,
That's
so
right.
we're not, like you say, we're not actually sweating. I think when you're active and sweating, you're sort of
Yeah, you
you're
want
triggering
to.
your body
Yeah,
to go, actually, I need a drink. But
yeah.
generally through life, we're fairly stationary. We're sitting in desks in a sort of
Mm,
comfortable, regulated temperature, and we don't drink enough. And then also on the flip side of that, we expose ourselves to things like caffeine and things that also
yeah,
help to
dehydrate you.
dehydrate us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that sounds really fascinating to for
Mm.
anyone to perhaps go and
Yeah, my
explore.
naturopath has told me for years, instead of having the pink salt, she's been telling me before this had sort of come about having the Celtic sea salt, because it is a more pure form, because you just don't know what you're getting with the pink Himalayan salt
Yeah.
sometimes. I still use both because my husband always wants the iodine salt, and I'm like, no, it's not good for you. Just I know you have
Yeah.
to use a bit more of this, or it's a bit more coarse, but it is better
Yeah.
for you. So, and I even put
Yeah.
it in my kids' drink bottles when they go to school. They don't even realize the difference now, and it almost makes your water more silky. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Well,
Yeah,
I think I mean in some respects it's sort of like the early form of like, some of the isotonic things really, isn't it?
yeah,
Which
yeah.
were like, salts, these
That's
minerals and
right.
salts that your body needs.
Mm,
Because obviously actually water can cause problems if you have too much too quickly. So
that's right.
because you have to maintain the balance in the cells of all the
Yeah.
trace minerals and things. So
And for your
yeah.
brain to work. Like I always think, if I haven't drank any water, I'm thinking, okay, what's going on with my brain today? And then I'm like, oh, I haven't drank any water. It's
Yeah.
probably like a prune. There's nothing left in there. Like,
Yeah, I think this is what I love about this journey that you go on when you start, having your eyes open to this kind of awareness of how you approach life is, like you were saying about if you're feeling, if you're sitting there and you suddenly feel neck pain, it's like get
mm,
curious. Like, this is the beauty.
yeah,
Like when we're children, we're curious about the world. We
that's
go
right.
through the world asking questions. Why does that happen? Why do we feel that? Why is that work like
Yeah,
this? And then as we get older, we kind of dial that down and it's like, actually, yeah, let's get curious again. Let's have that
yeah,
child mentality. And it's like, anytime you're feeling something, it's like, why? Well, have I not drunk enough today? Or did I have, a bad experience? Or, and
yeah.
it's just,
Troubleshoot.
yeah, it's just
Yeah,
it's like you open up this conversation with yourself, don't you? It's really just like,
that's right.
just having
In a positive way.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's beautiful. Yeah. In a
mm,
non-judgmental way. It's like
yeah,
don't like be like, oh damn, I didn't drink enough water. It's like,
yeah.
you didn't drink enough water. Go and have a glass of
That's
water.
right. Exactly. This is a
Yeah.
simple thing we can do here. Just
Yeah.
turn the tap on and have a glass of water.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's
yeah.
brilliant. But yeah, I just the other thing I wanted to just circle back to that you mentioned was you talked about the nervous system, and obviously one
Hmm.
of the things that Bowen does is it in fascia there are all the nerves, and I guess the specific points you target are where the sort of nerve rich places
That's right.
in the
We're
body.
regulating the nervous system. So
Yeah.
we're getting that into rest and digest. So there is a specific move that we do over the knee. And where basically it's your lat. So we're hitting the lat. And when you do that, it's basically telling your body we're not in an emergency anymore.
Yeah.
And even the first few moves in Bowen, which we do in your along your waistline, they are telling your body it's okay. And it's so amazing when you see the body when you do those moves, and we do them quite slow and on the skin. So Bowen can be done over clothing, which is why it's non-invasive. But the first two moves, we do them over the skin, which again is just on your lower back, on along your waistline. And we do them very slow, and it's so interesting because there's a lot of breaks in Bowen. So we'll do generally 2 to 4, sometimes 7 minute waits. It depends on the body and what's going on. And you just see the breathing, like you will see somebody breathing quite, because I don't know what a lot of people again haven't had it before, or they're in such a stressed state that you see their breathing is quite rapid. When you
Yeah.
do those first two moves, it's almost like you can see the back collapse and just be like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I'm okay now, like I'm safe. and it's just telling the body that it's safe, and it's just such a beautiful thing to see. Or even when you do a few moves over the neck, and you do go back after a few minutes once you've allowed the body to rest, it's so much softer, the skin, and it's just, and the fascia and the muscles and the tendons, you can just feel them loosening up. And there's, again, it's telling that body that you are not in an emergency anymore. So we are working directly with the nervous system. So it's just quite fascinating just to see, because obviously, like your vagus nerve as well, that runs quite a long line along your body. And when we do a bit of work along your SCM, which is here, again, that's working with your vagus nerve. So it's around getting that also into a calmer state as well. Because if you think about when you're yelling, where are you tensing up? Getting angry here, and again, that's giving your vagus nerve and your nervous system, you're dysregulating it. So I also talk a lot to people about vagus nerve exercises and things that they can do in between to try and get themselves back into rest and digest.
Yeah,
So
because
really important.
it is really important, and it's something that I'm quite passionate about, is the impact of like trauma on the body. And a big part of that is coming to understand and learn more about, the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, and also the vagus nerve, which is really like, kind of like the key to it all, isn't it?
Oh,
And
so much.
and it's because so many of us, I think we live in this state of like chronic stress, which to the body is, like you were saying, like this is an emergency. We're like, we have to be on that high alert, sort of like, oh my God, what's going to happen to me? Would have historically been like, oh, the tiger's in the bush waiting
Yeah,
to
that's
pounce
right.
on us, kind of thing. But we're
100%.
getting that
Yeah,
stimuli from just daily life, like, oh my God, I'm going to miss the bus, or, I'm going to
yeah,
be late for work, or, you have a bad meeting with someone, or someone
yeah,
irritates you, or something goes wrong, and you're just constantly, like, we're living more and more in this like state of fight, flight, or freeze, really, or
yeah.
fawn is the other side of it. But
hmm
so and most people don't even know. We just, they don't even know that they're in that state,
That's right.
and that causes like so many problems for the body over time, doesn't it? Of like,
Exactly.
just chronic stress. You've got all the stress hormones
Yeah,
that just
cortisol, everything.
yeah.
It's just, and if
So
you can't get by with too much if that's all raised, like you physically don't have the ability. So again, that's what we're trying to do with Bowen, is to give you that ability to deal with whatever you need to deal with, whether it's an emotion, a physical ailment, trauma, so many different things.
yeah.
Because like Gabor Mate says, if you don't know how to say no, your body will show you.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, and
yeah,
that's the sad thing, isn't it? It's that's where we get to. We get to the point where our bodies say no, like they go,
mm,
I've been living in this state of like chronic stress and
that's right.
for years, and I'm done. I'm depleted. I have
Yeah,
nothing more to give, and
that's right.
that just shows up in multitude of different ways for different people,
Exactly.
how it will affect them. And I think that's what I love about like what you're doing, is you're giving people, sometimes people come to you and they're already in that state and you can help them,
Yeah,
but you've also got something that can help them before they get in that state. And
that's
it's
right.
it's just it's wow, it's something that I'm really passionate about. And I think I would just encourage people to, hopefully it's possibly Bowen that appeals to
They're
them,
everywhere.
but if
There's
it's
yeah,
not
and Bowen
something
is
else,
everywhere.
yeah.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's worldwide. Like it's not just
Yeah,
in Australia now. There's one in the UK, massive association. They're very passionate about it, obviously as well. But it's everywhere. Like my parents are from Greece, and my mum's telling me that some of my cousins are experiencing some things, and I'm like, "There's a Bowen therapist in Greece. Go
yeah, 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 and
try
it's
it."
yeah, exactly. Try it. if it's not for you, then find something else that is for you,
Exactly.
that works
That's
for
right.
you. And
But
because
take care of yourself. Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, like you were saying, like through it you've like tapped more into your
Oh,
intuition, and I think
it's
that's for
ridiculous.
people as well, is like it's beautiful because it's you get the support of a therapist when you're
Mm,
going to these things, and they become a confidant, and they give you that nice space where you can have that space to sort of work on yourself whilst being like supported, which I think is quite
yeah.
important for people. But you also learn your own intuition as well, and you begin to
Oh,
have like
that's
these
right.
conversations with yourself. You're, this more less judgmental
Oh,
dialogue with
definitely.
yourself, and
Yeah, it's
yeah,
amazing. And like I say to people, I'm not here to fix you. I'm help you to go back to being yourself,
yeah,
to be yourself. Because again, this was conversations we were having today. Is I picked up a card that resonated mostly with my values, and it was that people won't remember what you did for them. They're not going to remember what you said to them. They're going to remember how you made them feel. And for
yeah,
me, to make somebody feel comfortable enough and safe enough, like you said, to be themselves, I'm good. I've achieved what I wanted to. For them to actually feel safe in telling me something that they totally even forgot about, and the amount of times that I get it before I was even doing this was, wow, I've actually haven't told that to anybody in years. And to
yeah,
me, that's such an honor for that somebody has actually felt that safe. Like,
yeah,
have conversations with my friends and I've spoken to that person this many times and they've never said anything like that to me. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm the type of person that if you wanted to talk about farts with, I'm there
yeah,
for it. Whatever you want to do, like I'm
yeah,
open. Like I'm
yeah,
just that type of person that, if you feel comfortable enough, I'll be there for whatever you want to talk about.
yeah,
So, and I think that if that's how people should be, I think that we've come so far away from who we are that we've lost that essence because we're so trapped in what we're seeing on social media,
yeah.
and we've come so far away from who we actually are. And I think we just need to come back to that. And if the closer you come back to that, the more better you'll feel physically and mentally in your body.
Yeah. I got goosebumps when you were saying that about like you'll remember how someone makes you feel. And
Mm.
I was like, oh my goodness, you're just such a beautiful gift to this world. Like, thank you so much for everything you're doing. Because
No, thank you. You.
I think it is so important. And I think in our rush to be busy all the time,
Yeah.
we've disconnected from how we feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the key, is really just to find these spaces where you can find the courage to feel again, because it can, require a bit of courage, because, sometimes
Oh,
if there's
definitely.
been trauma or experiences, there's a reason that your body has perhaps said, yeah, actually, it's maybe not safe to deal with this. We're just gonna, like you said, choke it down,
Yeah.
and then it becomes locked in the body. And I think what's just beautiful about what you're doing is just like you're creating this space. You've got tools to support people to start to feel safe, to feel again, and then they come back to themselves. That's what you said.
That's right.
You remember who you are, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's just is I think the possibly the greatest gift you could give anyone, really.
Oh, and it's ability that we all have in ourselves. It's not something that
Yeah,
I'm giving to them. I just want them to be able to remember who they are. Because I think
yeah,
you can get so lost, whether it's from being on your own in a relationship when you have children, all the phases of life. We just lose that person who we are, and we become this person that we don't even know.
yeah. You look in the mirror and
Yeah.
you're like, who is looking back at you? Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
yeah,
I just usually pull a face at myself and
yeah.
I'm like, oh, there you are. There's that silly person there.
Oh, well, I feel that was such a beautiful thing that you said there, that I sort of feel that's like a really lovely place to like wrap up. But
Yeah,
I don't know
beautiful.
if there's anything else that you sort of feel like you'd like to share
No,
before
I
we
just
go
want to say
today.
thank you. Like, as we discussed, this is my first podcast talking about Bowen. So I feel like it's a beautiful, safe space to talk about it. And I love what you're doing. I love how you started off the podcast talking about nature, because it was just like, wow, okay, I found the greatest person to have my first podcast with, because I love nature as well. And, you know, nature is nurturing. So that's yeah. Like,
Well,
if anything, if all else
yeah.
fails and you don't do Bowen, go outside.
Yeah,
Go and get some
exactly.
fresh air, sink your feet into the earth. If you don't do Bowen or any other modality, just go outside. It's the biggest hit of, you know, freedom you can ever have, is going outside and
Yeah.
having some fresh air, and then you will literally forget what you were worrying about.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
amazing.
And if you can, go to the beach.
Yes, go
Yeah.
to the beach.
That's our goal. It's like every time I'm gonna go
That's
to the
right.
beach now, I'm gonna think of
Yeah.
Angie. And I'll be
Oh,
like,
do it. And just
listen, I'm gonna listen to
and
my
remember to
breathing and be
breathe.
like sinking
Yeah,
with the waves and just feel like,
that's right.
everything is bigger, nothing is, as
Yeah,
bad as it seems. But
that's right. Yeah.
yeah, no, I think, I mean, for me, and that's why I love all of these like healing modalities that,
Mm,
they, like you said, you're not there to fix someone. You're giving them the tools to fix themselves. You're creating the environment that their body can actually just tap into its innate wisdom and like come back
that's
to
right.
itself and come back to
100%.
where it wants to be. And that's nature, this
Yeah,
is like why, like on the surface, nature we sort of see as outside and out there, but actually like we're part of it. And
yeah,
that's what I'm really passionate about, is just us remembering like we
yeah.
have all of this wisdom within us, we have all of these capabilities, and sometimes we do just need a beautiful guide like yourself to just take our hand and show us the first few steps back to what we can do and what is possible.
That's right.
And yeah.
Yeah, it's all within us. Everything is within us. Nothing is out of touch. Whatever other people are doing, you can do that as well. You just have to believe in yourself, and then
Yeah.
that's literally all you need to do, is believe in yourself. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And as a previous guest said, it's really simple, but it's not easy.
yeah,
So,
that's right. Yeah,
yeah.
but again, you got to have that physical and mental ability to be able to do
Yeah.
it. So yeah,
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing. Like if you're struggling with any illness or chronic condition or physical pain, it's just it's a heavy burden to carry. And so finding someone like yourself, experiencing Bowen, which can help lift some of that weight that you've been carrying, can give you the space to explore and come back to more of what you're capable of as well. So
that's right.
yeah.
100%. Got the
Oh.
ability.
Oh, well, brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Angie. It's been
Thank you
absolutely
for having me.
fantastic having this wonderful conversation and journey with you today. I think we've covered some amazing things. So,
Oh, definitely. Thank you for
we're
having me.
you're based in Australia, in Adelaide,
Yeah.
and if anyone is local to you, they can hopefully get in touch and book something direct with you. And I'm going to have your website details and your social
Oh,
media.
beautiful.
And even if you're not local, please follow Angie on social media as well. So she has some great bits of information. She does little videos and things which will just get you thinking about how you approach life and things as well. So yeah, and yeah, just thank you so much for everything you're doing. And
Thank you for
yeah,
everything you're doing as well. Really appreciate it.
oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for listening to the Nurtured by Nature podcast. I truly hope this conversation has brought some hope and inspiration into your life. I would love to have these messages ripple out across the world. So if you can, please share this episode with your friends, leave a review on your favourite podcast player, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. I would love to hear from you, so please feel free to connect with me on the links provided in the podcast description. But most importantly, thank you so much for being a part of this journey with me. But don't forget to simply get out there and enjoy the natural world.